GenCon 2015, Mark Arnaudo reporting from the booth of Osprey Publishing. Duncan from Osprey has agreed to tell us a little bit about The King is Dead, a new game by Osprey that is at the time being demoed, so we can't get too close physically as somebody else is playing it, but we can zoom in pretty good. And Duncan is going to tell us about the game, how it works, and things like that. There in the background you have the art of the cover. Thank you, Duncan.
Hi. So The King is Dead is a game set in Britain immediately after the death of King Arthur. King Arthur would have united the Romans, the Welsh and the Scots who were in Britain at the time, but after his death they're all still the same nation, but they're not necessarily that enthusiastic about working together. Players are going to take on the roles of noblemen or lords or noblewomen who are vowing to be declared the next ruler of Britain, but to do so they have to get the backing of whichever faction they think is going to have the most power in Britain. At the start of the game, as you can see, the different colours of pieces, you've got the red are the Welsh, the blue are the Scots, and the yellow are the Romano-British, are spread across the board, and there's 8 different provinces around the board.
So that is the setup of the game we're looking at.
This is the initial setup.
Okay.
And each player will also start with 2 pieces in front of themselves. You will have a hand of 8 cards, which are supposed to last you the entire game.
Wow.
Every player has an identical hand. Each card will allow you to affect the layout of the pieces on the board or to add pieces to the board. And after you take that action, you remove a piece from the board and place it in front of yourself. The pieces in front of yourself represent the influence you have with a particular faction, and the pieces on the board represent that faction's strength within the entire country. So what you want to do is you want to have the most pieces in front of you of whichever colour is going to win. But obviously, because you're taking the pieces off the board, the more pieces you take and place in front of yourself, the weaker that group is overall.
Oh, I see.
So you have to play quite a clever tactical game of not revealing your intent to the other players too early, because either they'll sabotage your plans, or alternatively, if you've been playing, for example, for the Scots to win, if they've been playing their cards cleverly enough, they can just nip in, gain all of the influence from the Scots, and win the game ahead of you, even though you've been the one who's been supporting the Scots all along. So it's quite a tricky game. I like to explain it to people that if rather than taking the role of Napoleon, you're taking the role of Machiavelli.
Okay.
If you want to think of it in those terms. Beautiful, beautiful game. There's an in-the-box expansion which explores the followers of Mordred, and it plays between a half an hour and 45 minutes. You're selling it for $25.
What is the victory condition?
The victory condition is, so once you go through the different provinces, once every player has passed consecutively, a province is completed, and then whichever faction has the most colour, a particular province.
So whichever faction has the most colour?
So for example, the yellows here,
okay,
they have the most colour in that province. That one would go to the Romans. They would take control of that faction. You'd flip that card and then you'd move on to the next one.
I see. So it's about influence in each province. Each province is checked separately, independently.
Exactly. And then by the end of the game, you'll see one particular group will have control of more provinces than the others, and you want to be the one who has the most support in that group.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
No problem at all.